Aftermath. I feel my eyes open. There is a black mass above me swirling and dipping. A piece of it breaks off and comes down to meet me. The raven lands on my plate, armored, and gazes at me sideways with its beady eyes. I shift to shoo it. But with that little moment, my body is reminded of its pain. I'm jarred fully awake as I begin to feel again. A sharp pain stabs me in my chest, and my arms feel as if I've been beaten by the entire barracks. I manage to angle my head down to see that my chest plate is mangled to the point where the lace hit me. I hear myself screaming for help. It feels like an eternity. It hurts. Matthias! Someone calls out my name. I feel hands all over me as my armor is removed. I feel like I can't breathe suddenly. My God! Put the chest plate back on. But, are you the medic here? Agonizing seconds pass as they bicker. I feel my chest plate put back into place and tightened. I take a handful of shallow breaths. All right, we're going to get you back to the medical tent and patched up in no time. Then whispering, but not quiet enough, the field medic conferred with the soldiers helping him. Get him back fast, Cedric, or he may not live. Then an entirely different world of agony began. Cedric is a man I trust with my life too. He's smart, capable, tough, and can perform miracles in battle. He was also born, as they say, with two left feet. Cedric and I both served in the 2nd Division of the Royal Army of True King Daniel III. When Cedric enlisted, he dropped his sword on the first day of boot camp. And not only that, but when he went to pick it up, he managed to headbutt our drill sergeant on the way. If I'm remembering correctly, he had his hands dipped in pine tar so he could, in our drill sergeant's words, learn to keep the sword pointed at the enemy, not the turf. Though there may have been a few more curse words thrown around. We all scorned him in a brotherly sort of way until we saw him on a horse. He was a fish out of water with a sword, but a horse and lance is his ocean. No one could best him, and when I was riding into battle with him this morning, I didn't doubt him to have my back in the slightest. All this to say, I had mixed feelings about him carrying half of my gurney. The other man, someone whose face I may have recognized from the mess hall, if I'd be less delirious with pain, was thankfully steady on his feet and doubly thankfully leading. Despite knowing that I was getting closer to help with each step, every jostle sent fresh pain through my bones. I could feel nearly every muscle fiber in my body, and they all cried out in misery. What few glances I did take of my surroundings were fleeting as I fade in and out of consciousness, my body shutting down from the pain and the same pain bringing me right back. I saw piles of dead. Vultures and ravens flocked even as soldiers continued to search for the injured. The mountains looming over the battlefield shielded us from the summer sun, and the sky beautifully clear. It's amazing what you notice when you're slowly being driven mad. I either passed out or blocked out the memories of my treatment because I woke up covered in blood-soaked bandages in a tent. My arms hurt, my legs hurt, my chest hurt, my head hurts. But presumably, everything that can be done had been done. I noticed Cedric sitting next to me slumped over. I tried to talk, but all that comes out is a croak. I attempt to clear my throat, and it sends me into a coughing fit, making me feel as if I had been set ablaze. Cedric wakes up with a start to my fit. Don't try to talk. It's somewhere between advice and a scolding. The medic said you had been trampled pretty bad when you were knocked off. My entire rib cage came loose. Be sure to thank the king's armorer when you get back. The chest plate was the only thing keeping you breathing. As he had mentioned it, I can feel bars around my chest and small cold rods poking into my skin. Here, have a drink. Cedric found a mouthful of water for me. It was cool and soothing. Thanks, I managed to croak out. No talking. Cedric cracked a sly smile. So, does this make us even? I raised my eyebrow. Well, when I stole your pudding last week, you said you'd kill me. I saved your life, so the least you can do is spare mine. I remember the incident now. It was the day before battle, and the bastard had stolen what was possibly the last pudding I'd ever eat. And then I caught what he said. Last week. Last week? I wanted to yell, but it hurt even to whisper. Cedric looked at me with pity. You've been asleep for 5 days, Matthias. We were worried you wouldn't make it at all. Who else? I whispered. Jacob, Stephen, Lawrence. That's just from our squad. He looked at me with tears in his eyes. But hey, we won. Another royal victory under old Danny Boy's belt. I closed my eyes and thought. After some time, Cedric got up. I didn't think that I could sleep. I don't know how long it took to go from praying to sleeping, but I was tired. Jacob was buried on his family's farm. Stephen was buried at the church of his hometown. Lawrence was buried at the Capitol's soldiers' field. We were the only family we had ever had. I was discharged with honor. Too broken and battered for military to use me anymore. I went back to my father's cobbler shop. As for Cedric, he still has to serve in old Danny Boy's army. Too good to be discharged. A hero and a model soldier. He received a bonus and a Medal of Honor from the king. But if you ask him what he thinks of it, he'll give you his answer. Honor. I want my friends back. It's sad. I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all.